Hi, so in this tutorial, I'm just going to show you how you can create a simple application using PowerApps. So once you're logged in into Outlook or something like that, or anything to do with one of your Microsoft accounts, if you go in here into Apps, you'll see there that we have PowerApps available to us. Now, if that's not immediately visible to you, if you just go to All Apps and scroll down through there, you should see PowerApps in the listing there. So I'm just going to open that up just by clicking on the icon, and it brings up this. So this is going to be a really simple app just to record some data from the user. So instead of using a template, what we're going to do is we're going to create a new Canvas app from blank and go through all of the various stages on that. So this is your home page. This is the way it lands. You have a new one there. We have some tutorials available here, apps, and then we have a create button, which pretty much does what those do. And then we have other information. So when we get into this, we'll just see how it all holds together. So I'll just click on this create from blank. And I'm going to call this one YouTube test. Or how about YouTube sample app? And we're going to make this one for a phone. So we can select the format of it there. And you can see there that it's defaulted to a Canvas app from the previous click. So if I hit create on this, it will go off and work its magic. So once you're in here, you get this, skip that tour. Once in here, you get a blank piece of canvas for where your app is going to go. So having a look at the interface very quickly, we'll see the controls we have. So along here, we have our file menu, so you can save stuff, set an icon on it. So maybe make this one red and give it a different, just put a gallery image on it. So that's just an icon that'll appear on a mobile device when you use it. Size and orientation is available there. We've already set this to mobile phone portrait, and so on and so forth. So that's sitting there in your file menu, along with other information, accounts, and things like that. Next thing we have is the insert. And this is where you go to insert the various components that you might be sticking on this, which we'll see in a moment how all that goes. We also have a view tab here, and this gives us our data sources and things like that. And then of course we have an action, which would be things that'll happen, as it's visible or not, or whatever else. So let's just start with this, jump straight in, I suppose, and start working with it. So the first thing I'm going to do is rename my first screen here. So it's going to see there, and we have rename. I'm going to call this home screen. Now, I personally don't particularly like leaving spaces in here, so I'm just going to change that to with no spaces. So that's our home screen. And what I'm going to do now is put a few controls on this. So on the insert tab here, I'm first of all going to put in an icon. So let's see, there should be a home in here somewhere. There it is. So it's going to plonk in a home like that. And now to zoom in on it, just use Control and scroll forward on your mouse, or you can use the slider down here. Now let's just move that up a bit. And I'm just going to lock that tightly into the corner there. That's that icon. Now you can change how this looks by using its properties here. So it's currently called icon 1. You can obviously change that to home icon. So that'll give it a name that we can spot a bit easier in the hierarchy as it builds up here. So let's just see, what are we going to do with this? I'm going to make the text white, and I'll make the background color, let's go for a hard green there. So that's now that in there. And over on the other side, because I already know what I'm going to be doing, I'm going to put in an edit icon here. So icon, edit, just grab that, put it up there, and I'm going to make the same changes I made previously by setting the color to white. Let's click away from that, and then set the fill to green. So that's that in there. Next, let's put in something here, this piece of text actually, so we'll just call it a label. And I just put that in there. I'm just going to size it up so that it matches with my icons. Incidentally, the properties there are showing this as 64 by 64, and this has now should have a height of 64 as well, just visible down here. So let's see, let's get our shading and everything right. So my text color is going to go to white, and my background color go to green. So that's those done. And now what I need to do is just change the, put that in the center. I might just make it bold. Ugh, it's not nice. Maybe semi-bold might be better. And then where it says text, I'll just change this to home. So now at the top of our screen, we see that. Now, you may see a bit of white lines ghosting in there, but it's not going to make much difference. When you hit the play button up here, which is the preview, it's still a bit there actually on that preview, so I might just adjust that. See that I have one more setting on the border. The border is currently set to 0. Maybe let's change that to green just in case. Probably a bit overkill, but we'll do it anyway. So from here, I have my home icon here. I've got some text, and I've got this. Actually, on consideration, I might just change that. So we just select it here, and we can change the image that it shows there. So maybe I'll go to just add. Okay, so let's change the icon there to add. Now, what I'm going to do here is I'm just going to create a few more copies of this home screen so that I can use it just to navigate through, so over and back. So I'm going to right click over this and click on duplicate screen. So now it's reading home screen 1, and I'll just duplicate that again, and we now see we got home screen 2. So I'm going to rename this now. So right click, rename, and we'll call it input screen, for reasons that will become apparent later. And then I'm going to do, this one will be the confirmation screen. Okay. So now we have a home screen, an input screen, and a confirmation screen. So the home screen, when we look at this, we don't really have any functionality built into this yet, and I can't make any real changes. So I'm just going to flick onto the input screen for a moment, and I'm going to change this from home to data input, like that. And this one, the confirmation screen, is now going to read data submitted. I just submitted will do. Okay, so that's it. Nice and simple. Home screen, input screen, and submitted. So now what we need to do is find a way to be able to navigate between these. So you'll see here I have my home icon there, and on select it currently reads as false. So I can kind of leave that as false because it's not going to do anything. But for the input screen, when I click on this, I don't want it to be false. I want this to navigate. So type in navigate, and then home screen, and then close the brackets. So this is now going to point this icon back to the home screen. You'll see that in a moment. And I'll do the same here on the confirmation screen. So grabbing the icon again and just navigate home screen, like so. And that should take care of that. So now I should be able to bounce from any of these out to back to the home screen. Now what I can't do at the moment is do anything with this button over here. So I'm going to go onto my home screen, and I want this plus button to activate the input screen. So if I select on this and go navigate, and this time I'm going to navigate to the input screen. And then for the confirmation screen, I'm just going to make another little change on this one. And instead of this plus in here, I'm going to make this as maybe a check mark might be good. Yeah, maybe we'll leave it as a check mark. On the input screen, I'll change the plus to a check mark as well. Okay, so that should, when I click the check mark on the input screen, that should do an action for us. So we'll come to that in a moment and leave that alone. This confirmation screen, this check mark here, I'm going to get this one to actually go back to home as well. Navigate home screen. So lots of different ways of getting home on this thing at the moment. Okay, so let's go to our home screen and run a preview. So here it is. If I hit home, nothing's going to happen. If I hit the plus button, it's taking me to the input screen. If I hit the home button, it goes back. So that's back to my input screen. And this one here, when I hit check, is not doing anything because I probably didn't set it up properly. But we can go back to there and close that. So let's have a look at what I haven't done on the input screen. So currently that's false. I will put in a navigate here. So navigate to the confirmation screen. And let's just try that again. So we should be able to step through all of them now. There's submitted, that goes back to home. So on the home screen, hit the plus button. I can put in some input. Hit the check button, which will assumingly be at the end of our data input. It'll go to submitted. And then if I hit this again, it'll go back to home. In fact, you could probably get rid of that final icon as well. All right, so this is our first part anyway. We now have a set of screens put together and linked up. So what I need to do next is try and put some extra information on these things. So let's put, okay, let's go for the confirmation screen because it's probably the easiest one to finish with. So if I go text on this one, put in a label, and again, we're going to center this off and say your data has been submitted, like so. And I might just make it a bit bigger, so I'll push that up to 50. And there we go. So that's that. Now I'm going to make note of positioning on this. So now I just want to make sure that it lines up against those. It should be position 64,292. So I'm going to change that to 300 just to keep it consistent. Now underneath this, I'm going to put in perhaps a button which says return to home. So again, we have a button here, and you see there it's coming in blue. So I'll just pop this in here, and let's have a look at its properties. So we change the text to return to home. And again, we'll set up the colors on this. So let's get that back. So I've got my button here. The text is white. I'm going to change the background color to green. And I'm also going to make a few other adjustments in here. There's a border radius on a button. If you zoom in on it there, you can see that it's got these rounded edges. So I don't particularly like that. I'm going to take that radius to 0. So they're squared off now. And the other thing I'm going to do is, if we have a look at some other features, we have a disabled color, which is fine. We have a pressed color, which is good. And then we have a hover color, which is on fill slightly different. So what I'm going to do is just test this and we'll see what it looks like. So if I hover over this, it goes to blue, which is really not something we want to happen. So what I'll do on this is I'll select this button again, and on the hover color here, I'm going to change that fill to something else. It's pulling it up there. So maybe I won't. There we go. Can I get it here? Yeah, it's looking for an alphanumeric on that one. So what I need to do is get the actual color value for that. So let's see. So the way this is operating at the moment is it's picking the hover color from a function, which you can see there. And what I want to do is figure out what that color actually is. Button 1.fill. And see, can I get it to change it? Well, it seems to be doing something weird there. Okay, so I'm going to change this here to button color. Go for border color and see what it does there. So what I'm doing is I'm referencing the border color and just changing that. So let's see what happens this time. So yeah, so you can see it there that it's changing now the way it should do. But this has been doing, it's doing this programmatically. It's not doing it by a hard setting, which is kind of nice. Anyway, so return to home. Your data has been submitted. Yeah, we can probably leave it there. Now, the next thing we need to think about is, well, we're trying to hold some data in this thing. So how do we go about doing that? Now, the way this works is you can set up an Excel spreadsheet or something like that to hold data coming through from this form. You need to do a little bit of work to get it to work, but it's fairly clean. So let's see what we need to do there. So what I'm going to do is, let's duplicate this for a moment, and I'm going to go on to my OneDrive from here. So instead of PowerApps, I'm going to go to OneDrive. And this is connected to my OneDrive for Business account. So that is fairly okay. Now I already have a directory in here called PowerApps, so I'll just do it all from the beginning. So new folder. I'm going to call this one YouTube PowerApps, and go into that new folder here. And in here, I'm going to create a new Excel workbook. That's currently called book.xlsx. And let's see. Now, what I want in here is a table to hold the data. So I'm going to first of all set up the information that I want to capture. So I'm going to have name. I'm going to go simple actually. First name, surname, address, and date of birth. Okay, just some basic information in here. So what I want to do next is create a table on using the insert, we're using these headings here. So I'm going to select these here, and on the insert tab, I'm just going to hit table, and it says create table, blah, 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 blah. It's giving a range. I'm going to just check that one. My table has headers right there like that, and hit OK. So this has now created this table within my Excel sheet. So I'm going to save this. So save as, hit save as, and instead of just calling it book, I'm going to call it YouTube app data. And the location is fine, so I'll hit save on that. Okay, so this is now in here. I have my table, I'm good to go. So next thing I need to do is I need to connect this table, which is sitting right there in my OneDrive, back to my app. So this is my app here, and I'm just going to go to the input screen just to make it a little bit easier. Next thing I'll do is just make that connection. So if I go into view here, currently under data sources, it says I don't have any. So what I need to do is run a connection back to that area in OneDrive. So I go connector, and I have OneDrive for Business here. If you don't see it there, you can hit see all connectors, and it'll give you a huge list of things it can connect to. So I'm really only interested in the one, which is OneDrive for Business. And there we go, add a connection, OneDrive for Business, and it's referencing my profile right here. So I'll click on that. And now it's going to ask me to choose an Excel file. So I'm going to go into YouTube PowerApps. You just saw that created. And there's my data there. So let's click on that. And now it's asking me what table I want. And as it turns out, it's called Table 1. So let's just cancel that and come back onto this for a moment. You see this table here. If we go to, hopefully, it doesn't always show it up in this thing, design. If you go into the full version of Excel, you'll see that it will show the name of the table in here. Anyway, it's called Table 1. I'll show you in Excel in a moment. Let's go back to this and just run that again. So OneDrive for Business, OneDrive for Business, YouTube PowerApps, that one there, Table 1, connect. All right. So now you see in your app, it's currently connected to Table 1 in OneDrive for Business. Well, so far, so good. Now let's have a look in here. I'm going to shut this down here now, just to make sure that I don't have any other errors popping in later on. Write access or something like that could potentially be an issue here. Now, next thing I want to do is I want to add a form to this data input field so that I can put data into that Excel sheet. So I'm going to go back into my insert, and under forms here, we have edit and display. So I'm going to use edit, and we get our little box here. So if I zoom in on this, you'll see that this form isn't connected to any data yet. So although I've connected my app, I haven't connected the form yet. So in order to do that, I can just hit connect to data here, or I can go to on the side here where it says data source, currently says none. I can connect it to table 1. So there's your two choices. I'm going to do it from here because I often find this one's the easiest one. So connect to data. And of course it's not playing ball. Come on, connect to data. Okay, I'm just going to go over here then, select that. So now it's been connected to table 1. And then it says choose the fields that you want to add. Same thing applies. This should fire up a little dialog for me, or you can hit edit fields here. So if I hit that, you can see there that it says there are no fields in this control. So I go to add field, and then I'll just select all 4 of those. Now note the ordering here. At this point, it doesn't matter, but it will do in a moment. So I hit add on that, and those have now popped in to here. So I've got address, date of birth, first name, surname. Now, if you don't like the ordering, you can change them here. So what you can do is, let's put the address underneath all of these. So if I just grab that, I can pull it down. All right, so the address at the bottom and the date of birth, let's drag that there. So now it reads first name, surname, address, and date of birth. So let's have a look at the properties. Control type is going to be edit text. Data type is going to be a string, and I can set this to be required or not in here. Currently it's not. If I go to date of birth, data type is shown there. So we have lots of different types of phone numbers, emails, that kind of stuff. That's all sitting in there. So what can we do here? Those. That's basically it. Started there. Now, that should give me those. Let's put those down a bit. And in terms of the usual kind of coloring issues, we can set the border to be our usual kind of color there. And then we need to get into each of these. So if I click this, change that to green maybe. That's done that. That one, I'd much prefer if it grabbed the whole lot in one go. But if it doesn't want to, it doesn't want to. So let's just see if I can get that piece next. And change the color of that as well. So I can just come in here and modify them as needs be. Hover color issue again. Well, look, I'm not going to do the whole lot now. So you can change those anyway. In they go. I seem to be having this other bar here, so I'm not thrilled with that. So I think I'll change that too. So if I go back into the hierarchy here, on the form, I have it selected there. I can just pull this down and it just disappears. So a little bit more space and it's free to move again. So let's have a look at our address data card. And let's see. Date of birth data card. So I'm selecting them here because it can often be a lot easier to grab them from these locations. Indeed, you can zoom those up. Okay, so that's my surname. Change that one to green as well. And maybe the text. So this one here, it's data card key 3, as you can see it there. So let's see, we've got some information on it. Color is currently green. I'm just going to set it to black. I think it might be more appropriate there. Do the same on this one. Okay, that should be those in there. Hopefully all happy. Now, let's have a look at this one. If I hit the play button, boom, nothing. That's not good. So if I hit the home screen, nope, no good. Plus screen, no items to display. This is just not good. So we need to figure out what's going on here. Now, the reason this is happening is because it's looking for data that just doesn't exist yet. So what I need to do is go back to my home screen here. Now, at this point here, what we've got is a button which is currently navigating to the input screen. But what I want it to do, in addition to that, is to create a new form. So just type N and you get new form, and then form 1. That's the name of the form that's right down there. If I close bracket on this, hit enter, that should be enough. So I'm back to my home screen again, hit the play button, home, that's doing what it's supposed to. Now when I hit the plus button, it's displaying all of this information here. I need to adjust those hover effects as well, as you can see. So let's just see what happens next. So I can put in some information. Okay, all good so far. Hit click, and it says your data has been submitted. Okay, so far so good. Return to home. And I didn't activate that, so that's not going to work. So maybe let's hit the home button there. However, if we look at what's in here, it's my Excel spreadsheet, nothing has changed. So obviously it didn't submit the data. So we need to make sure that happens. Now I'm just going to end this preview and go back to my input screen. Let's see what's happening. Now, the information is currently still holding it, but if I hit this here, it's currently navigating to the confirmation screen, but it's not doing anything else. I needed to actually submit the form first. So I'm going to type in submit form, and then the form to submit is going to be form 1, and then I just need to put a semicolon in here to make sure that executes afterwards. So our new command is submit form 1, navigate confirmation screen. Okay, so hopefully this time when I hit the play button, it's still holding my data. When I hit this, it should execute that command. And you can see some dots shooting across the screen there. And then it goes return to home. Or, well, I can't return to home. So now let's see what's happened. It's just updated. So if I hit YouTube here. Oh no, it didn't work. No, it did. Yep, there we go. And you will also see that we have a new field in here, in this column here, giving us some extra data. So that's kind of cool. Now I'm going to close this down again because I don't believe it yet. I'm going to have to run another test. So shut everything down, blah, blah, blah. Okay, I'm on the home screen, hit the play button, and let's create a new entry. I'm going to put in YouTube test data. Hit the caps lock, like so. So hopefully now, when I submit it, we go to the check mark as before. The dots go across. It looks good. And then your data has been submitted. So this should take me home, that should take me home, and that's still broken. So there we go, it's gone to home. Excellent. So final test is to make sure that it did put in that second piece of data. So let's have a look. And there it is. That's gone in as well. So that's all now working. So we were getting data into it. That's a great sign. What I need to do next is, well, first of all, save this thing so that we can use it. So I'm going to go to File, and it's going to be Save. So save as the cloud or this computer. So I'm going to save it to the cloud. And YouTube sample app, all good. These are all the things that I've worked on. So hit Save. And off it will go. Would hope. Now, it's been saved, it's all good, but now we need to share it, because currently the only way to get at this thing is via this interface. That's no good. So I can hit share on this, and it's then asks me, who do I want to share it to? So I'm going to share it back to myself. Oops. That's me. And I'm going to make myself a co-owner. This is one profile that I've created under. I'm going to make myself co-owner. And then permissions. So make sure users have access to data in your app, including gateways, APIs, blah, 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 blah. So I have to make sure that my other profile has access to that Excel spreadsheet and OneDrive for Business. So I'll hit share on that. And that's nearly everything. So all permission changes saved successfully. If I go to this now, what I need to do is make sure that this YouTube PowerApps is also shared to my other profile. So I'm just going to put in, there's me again. Why does that not go in? Okay, so anyone with this link can view. I'm going to need more privileges than that. Allow editing is going to have to be there. And then hit apply. So, hang on. Make sure that is there. Allow editing. Yes, okay. Don't need to do anything with that. That should be okay. Anyway, that'll send off a link to me, or at least my other profile, and that'll activate that. So once that's activated, then it should be possible for the other profiles to access this and therefore add data to it. And that should be it. So with that, I shall leave it, and good luck with building your app. Thank you very much.